a framing I've been using recently is that this has like been the recurrent self-deception of humanity, is that we could just print money to solve our problems. And it is just this short run deception, right? Right. If you are in a monopolist position and you just think one order deep, like, what's the problem? We don't have enough money. Okay, well, we can print money. Okay, great. That sounds like it'll solve it. It's the seen and the unseen, right? We have this seen immediate solution, but we're abdicating responsibility for the second order unseen consequences, or we could say yet to be seen consequences. And that can gets continually kicked down the road until he's in this hyperinflationary situation. There's this totalizing diseconomization, a breakdown in trust, a breakdown in social cohesion, and the whole thing comes unraveled, right? So inflation is a very self-deceptive and ultimately self-destructive force on humanity.
Let's define inflation, because it's in the news. We all think about it. We all talk about it. Just for this conversation, I would like to define inflation as the government adds to the money supply to pay its expenses. Mm-hmm. And, I don't see inflation with any sense of judgment. It is inevitable. If humans have the power to create money, they'll do it. There's no way around it. And if I were in their position, I probably would have done the same thing. If humans have the discretion, here's my analogy for this. I think of inflation as imagine this like magic syringe, and there are rules to the syringe. The syringe has medicine in it, and it'll bring anyone back to life. But if you bring them back to life, there's a 5% chance they'll come back to life and kill everybody. So now you're in a diner, and the other rule about the syringe, here's another rule. If you have the syringe, there's only one. And if you have it, everyone in the world knows that you have it. So you're in a diner, and everyone's favorite waiter drops dead. It's the waiter's been there for 20 years. Everyone knows him by name. All the customers, they've been eating there for 10, 20 years. And this waiter just drops dead. And you're there. And everyone's like, Breedlove happens to be here. And because we all know who has the syringe, he's got it. And like, Breedlove, you can bring him back to life. And you're like, I'll do it. But just so you know, there is a 5% chance that if I bring him back, he'll kill all of us. And they're like, take the risk. We love this person. And what are you going to say to them? What are you going to say in that scenario? No. So you bring him back to life, and he's like, he dusts himself off, and everyone is confirmed that using the syringe works. But then he drops dead again. And then the second time, every time you use the syringe, the odds of them killing everybody doubles. Mm-hmm. So now he drops dead again, or someone else drops dead. And like, Breedlove, use the syringe. We love this person. It's, I don't know, whoever you happen to love. You're at a concert, and Bjork is coming back. So it's a reunion. It's a Sugar Cubes reunion. And you're backstage, and everyone's like, no, we want to hear classic Sugar Cubes. Bjork just died. Breedlove, use the syringe. And you're like, okay, but I used it on this waiter. And if I use it on Bjork, then there's a 10% chance that when she comes back, she's going to kill all of us. And they're like, it's Bjork. She's got to go on. You see, bring her back to life. That's, to me, the central bank's dilemma. Everyone's like, use the tool, because we're going to die if you don't. And the people who become in charge of the central bank are self-selected to be people who, in their career path, are predisposed to use the syringe. So there isn't even a contrarian among them, because they don't seek that career out.
it's it's a great analogy, actually. And then when you bring the guy or girl back and they do go on a killing spree, right? Then you're faced with this worst decision of like, okay, now 50 people are dead. Do I use the syringe on them? And then so you're there's this combinatorial explosion, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term, but you get this explosion of more people dead, more propensity to use the syringe, which further increases the odds of more people coming back to kill more people. So you get this exponential blossoming of death, right? In this analogy. And this is funny. I love this analogy because I spoke with John Vervaeke, who's a cognitive psychologist in a long form series. And he's a very interesting guy. He's University of Toronto peer of Jordan Peterson's. He's on Peterson's level, in my opinion, as far as being one of the greatest living modern philosophers. And he wrote a book on modern zombie mythology. And I don't know, he is less educated in the sphere of economics. So we had a really interesting conversation comparing notes. But in this book, they show the use of the term zombie charted over time. And it absolutely explodes post 1971. And it's another one of those, WTF happened 1971.com charts. And that what you're describing here is the syringe, right? It's basically bringing back the zombie, effectively, the person that just kills everyone, eats everyone's brains or whatever. I don't think it's a coincidence, that this mythology has emerged in tandem with the corruption of money. That it is actually, we're trying to sustain economic vitality or longevity through the lie of fiat, right? And we know this, like if there's a real economic problem to solve in the world, if people are hungry, right, you can't just print money to solve that problem. Someone still has to provide those meals, right? It's not enough to just create new paper or new entries on a database. You have to go and work. Someone has to go and work and prepare the meals to feed the people that are hungry. So it's like we've been trying to apply this deceptive syringe, as you might call it, to solve real problems. But it creates this negative feedback loop that just makes it harder and harder to solve those very problems.